music fades out. Is that still part of it?
No,
all right, we're good. We're good. All right, we're live. This is live TV, man. This is DeVore Live. If you did not know, DeVore Live is all things Jacksonville business, real estate, and life. I'm Scott DeVore. I got Wes Deason, Will Reed, Afton Etude Famin,
Yes, sir.
EAF.
Yes, sir.
Everyone call you EAF? That's a new nickname I just gave you. Eve. Or Moon Man.
Yeah,
How you doing today,
I
Eve?
know, right? That's crazy.
But good to see everybody. We're
Yes,
coming
sir.
off a Memorial Day holiday weekend. How was everyone's Memorial Day holiday?
It was good. It was good. Busy. It's hot. It's hot outside in Florida right
Very
now.
much so.
Yeah.
Doesn't Memorial Day kick off summer? Is that the key to kicking off summer?
It
think so.
it did it right because it was like 4,000 degrees. this weekend.
It kicks off summer in the Mid-Atlantic where I grew up. Maybe Denver, that's official. But I think summer kicks off in Florida on like January 4th.
This is true. This is true.
It is blazing hot. But no, Will, I saw Will. Unfortunately, we were together at a wedding. It was a family member, my mom's husband.
That was a funeral.
Funeral.
That's a wedding.
Yeah, I
Wedding
was
and
about to say,
funerals
what
are
wedding
like,
is that?
don't they say they're like the same things? But no, my mom's husband, Rick, passed away, and we just did a service, and Will did a great job leading that over at the National Cemetery just north of downtown Jacks, and had my brother in town, so I was hanging out with family, and Saturday had a beach day.
The dude looks like a tan Fred Flintstone. he's literally like Fred.
He is definitely Jack.
He's just a big boom.
For
big,
sure.
big,
You know
big-
what? I'm glad that this is recorded because I'm going to send it to him because that is a new bust I'll have for him. Fred Flintstone.
Just a,
As his comp.
yeah, nice guy, but man, you two do not look like exactly like brothers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's six plus.
Yeah, for sure, 6
he's
plus.
just towering over you. It's like, man,
Yeah.
you got the small jeans.
Yeah, I had to deal with that my whole childhood, man. Just had to fight this guy off me. That's probably how I got my swag. But other than that, Wes, what'd you end up doing this holiday weekend?
Played some golf on Saturday. It was hot, and didn't do much Sunday or Monday. Just took some time to just chill, relax, sit around the house. Did a couple little things. We went to the pool at our complex. Just kind of hung out. There was nobody there, which was great. Like you figure it's gonna be kids and packed, which is not my thing, but it wasn't. So it was good. We chilled for just a little bit, but yeah, decided to not go anywhere, do anything. Just took it easy. Did a little relaxation, which was nice.
That's always good.
We don't get that too often. So
Speaking of golf, did you see the video I sent you the other day with the ankle drop ball technique?
I did. My buddy's got a little thing that actually, does that, and he just taps it when he's in the weeds, and so, oh look, I found one, So, but no, I actually shot well. I shot 87 on Saturday, so that's pretty good for me. That's
that is
that
really
was
good.
pretty strong.
Watch out, PG.
It was like, yeah, it's good for me. Yeah.
That was pretty good.
I would love to
was
shoot an
I
87.
was happy with that.
E, how about you? What'd you get into?
Chill, man. Chill, yeah. Getting over a little fever.
So
but
you were
it's good.
talking off camera that you didn't go run. You just watched people run like 100 miles.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, so that's different.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
for
like,
sure.
I don't like running myself. I'll just
Oh,
go
no, I
watch
love
people
running,
run.
but I can't, man, what they did, definitely, heroic. I'm referring to a ultra marathon called, it's called BPN. They did 4.2 miles every hour on the hour. And so these guys ran up to 48 hours straight. And so with that time frame, you're only like getting back to go grab a snack, a bar or something like that to eat, get some, calories in you before you're running back. So yeah, it was definitely fascinating. It's phenomenal.
And you didn't do that? I mean, I don't get it. It's not sure
Next
why.
week.
Yeah, one day, maybe about 10 years. We'll see.
Maybe maybe we'll give you a little time to train. So the July company outing, that's what we'll do.
Go run for.
What's crazy is both of
40
those guys
hours.
were 21 years old. They outran all these, man. Yeah, so it's cool.
Yeah,
The youth definitely took
I
it.
was just thinking about our next company outing. We've been here I've been here 10 years. We haven't done a company event at the beach, so we could do like a beach volleyball day or something.
Okay, yeah.
I'm game for that. Or
Beach
surfing
volleyball.
competition.
Yeah,
or,
Surfing.
just something like that.
That'd be cool.
All right, let's get into it, man. I was gonna cover NBA basketball, but my Knicks are down 3-1. I got no dog in the fight, but now maybe we talk about the Panthers. Panthers, they could close it out tonight. Head back to the Stanley Cup.
Wow.
But man, here's a rundown for the show. So we're going to cover. We talked about build to rent last week. We actually got an update on some more build to rent happening locally in Jacksonville. Real estate market updates. Home renovations are on the rise. And surprisingly, best places to retire, you want to see where Jacksonville is ranked. So let's get into the first topic, build-to-rent communities. So if you don't know, build-to-rent is where a developer, they basically don't build houses like you normally would think of, where they're just selling them to any homeowners. These are houses that are built specifically to be used as a rental portfolio. So a group called Elevas Impact Capital is helping address Jacksonville's housing crisis through a $14 million development called Cedar Creek Estates. The project will transform 9 acres in an opportunity zone and a build-to-rent community with 45 energy-efficient single-family homes, prioritizing veterans and first responders. The initiative aims to promote community stability, long-term affordability, while generating both social impact and financial returns. So our build-to-rent expert will read. What do you think about this particular project that's happening in this part of town?
It's not surprising that particular area of town would be categorized as one of the opportunity zones. I actually think that parcel of land used to be a community pool and some other things that just got abandoned years ago, so they were able to pick up the land and start building on it. They're meeting a need that the city needs. I don't know if it were me, I don't know that I would put $14 million worth of investment into 45 homes, right? If you're meeting the affordable living space, I think your multifamily properties is going to get more bang for the buck, because instead of 45 doors, you could have 450 doors potentially on that parcel. So that's probably what I would do, but it's meeting a need. They're building to the area because it is a single-family home neighborhood. It's that area between Lenox and 17, and not far from that is years and years and years ago was a lot of military housing from NAS Jax.
Yeah,
is not far from there. So, revitalizing the neighborhood. I don't know how you, without discriminating, how do you keep really target to veterans, first responders, and young professionals is what the article also says too. So they're going to build it. They're going to put it out there, and if you qualify, you qualify. You can't really say this is a veteran-only community because you're not allowed to do that in real estate. So
yeah. Well, I think they're qualifying it based on any other factors that most landlords, credit score, income history,
right,
rental history, and things like that. They're marketing it for it, but obviously, I think any developer, they got 45 doors that they're going to need to fill.
Right.
So they're going to brand new community, and it's going to have everything that you would obviously it's a new home. So I think it will attract definitely the right type of renters there. But it's interesting because these opportunity zones are something I think Trump put those in his first term. And the great thing about the opportunity zones is if you build and develop in an opportunity zone, you don't have to pay the capital gains tax. I think that was like the biggest push. So Jacksonville has a lot of opportunity zones. I know this part of town, obviously this is, where the developer chose to do this type of deal because, one, it saves on taxes if and when they do exit out of it. But I don't think I agreed with building anything more than the single families, just because there's so many apartment complexes, multiple, storied apartments going up around town. So just to see something like this, where it doesn't take away from the local community and the vibe of being single family,
sure.
I like this option for that because, most areas, I think the biggest knock on development is, you lose the history. You just come in, you just build apartment complexes, you build all these things. So this is going to keep it more in line with like the actual community and the housing and all that. So I think it's a good thing that they're building it this way.
Now there is a lot of not far from there. I have been involved in probably a couple of dozen quadplex builds, not just a few miles from there.
Yeah.
So they not quite apartments, but so you got your single family, and then you have your you got duplexes, quadplexes are being built. So the look of the neighborhood or of the community is changing a little bit from where it used to be, but it's
marketing will call this apartment homes.
Yes.
Yeah, an apartment home. Just add home to it.
If you actually go through this article, though, it's not designed for people to move in right after they build. like or own after they build. It's designed for them to the path to ownership within 7 to 10 years.
Right.
So I think this is kind of clever. I'm not sure exactly how this would work, but they say if a homeowner moves in between July 1st of 25 and June 30th of 26, they get to share in 10% of the appreciation when the homes are sold in 2032. So you're telling me I got to rent for the next, what is that, 7 years minimum. Then I have a chance to get 10% of the appreciation, I guess, as my down payment to go to buy the house.
Sure.
Am I still going to be there? I mean, is this designed for me to be there for the next 7 years? And then if not, all the appreciation automatically goes to them, or or to the development group. I mean, it's a pretty slick deal there, one way or
It's
the
a
other.
pretty clever way to get a long-term renter.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So you have that option. Like,
Yeah.
do I keep investing in rent so I can get that? So yeah, it's a risk.
I mean, it is a risk, but I mean, I come from opportunity zones. I'll say that. Yes,
You come from the hoods.
Yeah, people have been in them apartments 10, 15 years. You know what I mean? Like, I know people that were in those apartments for, years and years and years. And so it does, obviously it's, slick, but it does give people an opportunity to think outside of the normal box, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And it is shifting a little bit in the credit space. So if you're a long-time tenant, your rental history helps you when you go to rent from someone else. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't carry the same weight like on your mortgage, that paying. So that would be my question is, are they going through the process? Because it would be an extra step for the management company to record the payments as positive payment history on this. So it does positively affect the credit rating of the renter. So 7-8 years from now, they have that history on the credit report. Because most credit reports don't, or most landlords don't report. So they don't get the benefit of the positive payment.
Well,
history.
and they can call it affordable housing today. In 7 years, what's affordable housing? They're going to command whatever price in 7 years. And is it now affordable housing at that point in time, or is it really just to stick people in there, rent? They know what the long game is. Who's the people that really buy these? Are they going to be the long-term renter, or are they going to be somebody else? And then they can command whatever price that they need to. So I don't know.
Well, they'll command what the market will allow,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So they're calling it build to rent, but it's really
Are they restricted?
Yeah, it's really built to sell. Their exit strategy is just 7, 8, 9 years from now.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I see that as a pretty good strategy.
Yeah, I mean it's actually it's actually good for the developer, because we're shifting to a buyer's market, and we have an update on the market, that gives more data to point towards that way. So when it's a buyer's market, that means sellers, they're not getting top dollar. So what they're doing is leveraging time. So they're building this, to get rental income for the next 7 years, and then the market, if you look at real estate trends over time, you always got ups and downs, but if you look at it over 20 years, you're going to see a positive upward trend. So in 7 years, when it's time to exit, then have already received the great rent for 7 years. The market has now corrected in a positive way, most likely, and then if they exit. So versus if they were just building to sell now, they would get X, but because they got this strategy in 7 years, it's going to be X times 1.4%, which is going to be something significant. If it's a $14 million development, you're talking another couple $1 million that they're going to be able to get from that.
Sure, absolutely.
Well, speaking of the housing market, so the next story I'm going to take you to is recent article: Homebuyer caution grows in Jacksonville amid price drops and high cancellation rates. So as of this current month of May 2025, Jacksonville housing market is shifting to a buyer's market for the first time in a decade. So this first time since 2015. Rising inventory and slower demand have led to increased price cuts up to 21.3%, giving buyers more negotiating power and reducing competition. So Jacksonville home prices fell 3.4% year over year from April to April, and the cancellation rate is at 18.4%. We touched on this a little bit too, and a lot of it has to do with rising home insurance costs. So Will, what do you think of this? You know, we a buyer's market yet? You know, have we been at one? Or are we just, you know, it's just here, and this is just what we're dealing with?
I think we've been in a buyer's market for probably the last 3 months, and now there's enough data to support my opinion, because now all of the metrics are pointing towards a shift, and there's a lot of inventory. There's a lot of inventory sitting out there, and with inventory comes options. So if you're buying, you can negotiate, you can haggle, you can look around, and you know, and I think we're going to continue to see prices decline for at least the next 12 to 24 months. That could change, obviously, if for some reason they drop interest rates, 1.5%, and sometime the next year you can see prices jump back up again. But I know the market is shifting a little bit, because normally late at night my wife likes to send me Zillow listings, because apparently she doesn't know what I do for a living. But now there's been a shift in her market mindset, because now I'm getting those Zillow listings in the middle of the day. So I'm like, okay, that's not a bad price. It's not a bad price. But you're seeing a lot. We're going to talk about it here in a little bit too. The houses that are commanding the best market value are the ones that have the new AC systems, the new roofs, the new kitchens, they've been updated, they've been upgraded. If your house is from 1980 and it looks like 1980, you're not going to get top of the market value.
For sure.
So yeah, I really think it's good for buyers right now. It's kind of unfortunate for sellers, but with that, if you don't have to sell, it might not be the time for you to sell. You might have to wait it out.
Yeah, I agree. And I think ultimately the best deal is always new construction. Not always, but in this market, because your new construction inventory stuff that's there, you're going to get steep discounts on the build. You're going to generally they have their own lenders in house. You get the option to use the incentives that they're giving you, tens of thousands of dollars to buy down rates. We love it. I actually just took advantage of a new construction inventory that was on the market recently, and it was like still the best decision, even as more inventory hits the market. So if you are in the position that you can buy new construction, I would say is the way to go. If not, if you're a seller, you're competing against that. So you have to do those renovations and those upgrades. Yeah. If not, you're just never going to stand out, because if someone has the option of buying your house from 1980 that has no renovations, or brand new 2025 with everything new, and you're not talking that big of a price difference all day long, you're going to go new construction.
Yeah. Now, a seller advantage is if you have one of those older homes that has been updated, and you're not in an HOA, you don't have a CDC, if you don't have that, I think you can command a little bit more because you don't have those things, because that's the downside to a lot of the new construction is you're going to have an add-on bill,
fees and everything else
to have access to a park, and maybe you get a pool, and or maybe you don't, and then you're going to share that with 50 to 100 other people.
No, I need to build a pool.
He had a pool all this time, and he never invited us over to a pool.
Hey, you know what?
You do know that, right?
I should have said this. I should have said this at the opening, that I actually did enjoy my swimming pool this weekend for the very last time before I move out of my old house. So it had my final goodbyes. Floating in the middle of my pool on the flamingo raft.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So it's not a goodbye. You're just going to turn it into an income creating asset for the years to come. So, maybe 10 years from now you move back in and you go for a swim, or maybe it just cash flows for you for the next 30 years. So it's not while it's you didn't have to deal with the sellers or the buyers. You're able to take advantage of the rental market being very attractive in Northeast Florida, because there's a lot of people that need to live here, want to live here, maybe can't buy for whatever reason, and they want to rent. And in your case, they spend a little bit more than they probably would somewhere else because of the pool, because of the location. Yeah. So. Yeah.
I'm going off topic here, but I just saw this app the other day called Resort Pass. Have anyone seen that? It's basically a app that tells you all the local hotels, resorts where you don't even have to stay there, but you can actually buy a daily pass to their swimming pools or whatever.
Okay, their amenities.
Yeah, so it's like,
so-
just a couple even downtown. Not the Hyatt, but like the DoubleTree across the street. You can get the pass for like $15 a day. You just go, you check in at the
that's
regular
cool.
place. You get the pool for the day. You can even rent day rooms, where instead of like renting a room overnight, you just
you know what
rent
that
it. You
means.
just rent it for the day. So I was thinking about that because I don't have a pool at my new house.
I'm sorry, y'all.
Oh, man. Trying to ruin the DeVore live.
Man, family. Man, I thought we were a family establishment.
We are.
Family-oriented show here.
Very much
E.
so.
Man,
Lord.
But yeah, so
We'll
that's
give you a counseling off
as an
camera.
option. So Resort Pass, if you want to sponsor DeVore Live, go
Let's
ahead
do
and you can send me an email.
Thank you.
All right, man. Let's anything else on the housing market, because we got a couple more articles that are similar in topic. One is homeowners are spending more on renovations. So the increases of what homeowners typically spend, the homeowners spend about $500 million every year on home renovations in the U.S. That's a significant
number.
amount, but that has increased. Let me see if I can actually find the number. Yeah, it's up about 3% from last year. And the reason why I think it's up is, for the same reason that we're talking about, people can't sell their homes. So because they can't sell them, like, well, if, I can't upgrade. If I can't trade up, I might as well just make the current house I'm in nicer. So then you got more projects going on. You got upgrades. You got people adding those swimming pools, outdoor summer kitchens. You name it. So this
Well,
article,
some of it's not I can't sell. It's my interest rate's too good to sell. So I got 2.5%. So I'm just going to stay here.
yeah,
forever.
yeah. That's exactly where I'm at. It's like, oh, okay, I'm at
Yeah.
2.6% or whatever I'm at on a 15-year. So I got 12 years left now or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, do I really need a 30-year mortgage at 6%?
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
Sure.
So unless I can find a way to make investment out of that, maybe that's a little different. But do you think it's just because people are staying in their houses, they can't move, or because this is amid all of the consumer confidence being down, that the economy's terrible, and tariffs are going to take over the world and all that, but yet people are spending money as it shows. So is it really people are smarter than all these articles give them credit for? Like they're going to spend because they know they can, or are they just racking up debt?
I think it's twofold. One is either they can't sell, or they don't want to because they got their great rate. Because it is improving the asset, then they're going to get a return on it. It's not like they're spending the money and going on, wild trips and VIP at the club, spending money that way. So this is money that's going to get an ROI on it. So I think that's what's going on. But interestingly, and I don't know the source of it, but I felt like I heard Home Depot, because this article actually comes from Home Depot, or the data comes from Home Depot. Home Depot, that they have said that they are not going to do any crazy price increases on their materials, even with the tariffs going on, because they've leveraged themselves to work with lots of suppliers. So something that they've learned from COVID, when everyone, no one was expecting it, so no one could have done anything strategically to keep prices in check. So I think Home Depot, again, I don't have the source, but I felt like I either heard it on another podcast or I read it, that they're going to do their best to try to keep material prices as best as where they are without any really significant, price hikes, because they've learned from COVID and they've leveraged themselves to work with a lot of extra suppliers.
Well, and after 4 years of rising inflation, I think you're going to have to decide to spend at some point if you're going to try to do something, because is it going to stop? So maybe that could be a part of it too, is, I'm going to go ahead and get that project done that I need to get done, because the prices are only going to increase from here. They're not ever going to go down at this point. So maybe it's just the right time to finally do that. You've waited, and man, it just keeps going up and up and up. It's like, I better go ahead and get that before it's so ridiculous now I can't do it.
Yeah, it's just the car you might want to go buy, it's going to be more expensive next year. The house you may want to go buy, it's going to be more expensive next year.
Yeah.
The kitchen remodel, it's going to be more expensive next year. So yeah, if waiting for now waiting until you can afford it, like, that makes sense. But waiting for it to be cheaper,
Yeah.
It's probably not going to happen,
Right.
to your point. But yeah, Scott, you're right. The Home Depot did say that they didn't expect to raise prices on tariffs because they've spent years diversifying. They did say, an executive from Home Depot, Billy Bastick, that some products may disappear from the shelves. So that thing at Home Depot you like, you might need to learn to like another thing because it's just going to get too expensive. So to keep with their plan to keep pricing the way they like it, they're just not going to sell it anymore.
Yeah. Makes sense. Well, man, we're moving along these topics. We got two more that we're going to kind of get into. One is a surprising kind of data point. It is the U.S. News and World Report have come out with their newest rankings of the best places to retire in the U.S. And number 7 on this list is none other than Jacksonville, Florida. Not Jacksonville, North Carolina, but Jacksonville, Florida. So this rating, so it's a unique rating. So they base this on business and economic development, housing and affordability. Oh, sorry, I'm reading something wrong. The rankings are based on. Let me make sure I get this right because people may be like, "Hey, what's the ranking on?"
Fact
So
check.
It's the happiness of local residents. Okay. How do they get that? Maybe the article will say housing affordability, tax rates, and healthcare quality. So we must have a lot of happy people in Jacksonville for us to be number 7 on the list. But it's another good accolade for Jacksonville. They always get ranked top 10 or top 5 or top something in a lot of categories. So this is one of the latest things for our city. What do you guys think of this report?
It's actually pretty cool. I'm gonna be even looking at the the age distribution. That's 25% is under 20. Man, that's a huge disparity. In 10, 15, 20 years, I can definitely see us being the next Miami just because of so many young professionals and all that. But in terms of retirement, one of the things I think is cool within Jacksonville is it's even though it is growing very fast and very rapidly. Roads are constantly in development. Man, you can still find a lot of places where it's very calm. We're just doing a rejuvenation in Mandarin, and it's in St. Johns County. But I went out there, and you drive down that road, it's like an oasis. I'm like, what in the world? It's just, and that's just. Mandarin is a widely populated area. Obviously, you're moving from there, but it's beautiful area. But you go back there, and it's it's calm, and it reminded me. I was like, man. Even though I live in Fleming Island, it's crazy. It's hustle and bustle, but there's so many spots that you can find, and it's relaxing. They had an acre in the back, and I'm like, my gosh, an acre in the back in Mandarin. Had a little water back there. I'm saying it seemed cool. So if you are somebody that's elderly, as the city grows, there are spaces all around the city where it's awesome, it's nice, and your areas where it's protected and it's safe. So it's cool.
And you get. And I think Jacksonville's always been one of those places in Florida where you get, if you're retiring from somewhere else, you're going to get more for your money.
For sure. 100%.
You're retiring out of New York and you come down here, you sell your, $800,000 home. You're going to come down here and you're going to buy a really nice house for $400,000 cash, and you're going to have a lot of money left in the bank. I think the national average, 370. On the home affordability or whatever, and Jacksonville they're showing here in this report might be a little low, but they're saying 302, right? So if you're retiring and you have that income from wherever that income source is to last you for the rest of your time here on this earth, then this is a good place to come and invest in that.
Good thing about Jacksonville is it's not going to decline. Some cities, they're, they've already done whatever they're going to do. They get a little tired, they get worn out, or they're just not growing and doing anything. Jacksonville's finally been putting a lot of effort into becoming a better city, finding more things to do. The downtown relaunch, lots of things starting to finally happen. We're eventually going to become a really good downtown. Take a lot of years, but you move here and you can spend the time and grow and always completely find new things. I don't know about you guys, but when I moved here, I didn't like Jacksonville.
No.
For several years, I all I wanted to do was move to Clearwater. the other side. And, you know, so it took me a while, but once I kind of figured it out and, you know, found the things to do and kind of what it was all about and saw the growth happening and some different stuff, you know, now I totally love it. And then you think all the other cool things like our weather and our, you know, outside of maybe the dog days of summer when it's really stinking hot, but for the most part we got great weather. You know, you got beaches close by. I mean, there's a lot of things here that how could you not make this a you know, a city that people could be attracted to move to?
Yeah.
You know.
Also, a lot of new food places are popping up, man. We're getting a lot of new
Chains. If we could just get rid of these chain stores.
For sure, I do agree with that. I hate
Like-
chains, but there's a lot of mom and pop that are like, really good stuff. One day we should do like a food check-in or something, talk about our top 10, you know, best food places around Jacksonville. That'd be cool.
Yeah. So Jacksonville, if you did not know, it's the largest city landmass in the country, which is ironic because the small town I'm from in Western Maryland, Hagerstown, is actually, it's like one of the top. I should probably just go search it real quick. So I'm used to like a large city, and it has a fraction of the population of Jacksonville. But the city of Jacksonville population is actually 12th in like the nation when you think about it.
12?
Yeah. But that's just the city. Now, the metropolitan area is a different story. Like, you know, LA Metro is like 20 million people. I think Jacksonville City is like 1 million. Jacksonville Metropolitan is like 1.2 million. You know, something like that. But it's, you know, it's just this massive city that used to be a bunch of little towns like most areas are. And so it just needed time to kind of just grow into those areas. And it's doing that, but each area still has its own independence. Like you were talking about Mandarin. Mandarin is not St. Johns County, but you know, you got Mandarin, you got the beaches, you got you know, you got Lakeshore, you got the historical areas, you got River City up towards the airport. I mean, you got all these different areas.
Cowboy on the west side.
And yeah, I mean, and you got everything that you want. That's what's so beautiful. And I think I said this before during the political season, where this one local politician said, you know, Jacksonville is basically a blueprint or a image of what America is because it's so diverse. You got rich, you got poor, you got minorities, you got, you know, majorities, you got, you know, all types of different things. And that's what makes this city beautiful. So the question that I wanted to end with is, you know, you kind of made a bold statement. You said Jacksonville would be like Miami. That's a little bit of a stretch, but, you know, we'll kind of go with it. So the question I want to pose to you, like, what would it take for Jacksonville to be a top 10 city in the country, you know, for it to do that? I think it could. Now, I'm not saying it could in 5 years, but I think it has the potential if things kind of were executed the way that it could. Jacksonville has everything that you would want or need or expect in a top 10 city. I think it could get there. I want to know what you guys think about that.
I don't disagree, but to keep with the Miami theme, right? The entire world knows about Miami Beach and all that there is to do and see down on that little block of sand. Jacksonville Beach does not have the same claim to fame, but it could. Right, when you think of just the prime real estate in that beachfront property is, and if Jacksonville could, or Jacksonville Beach, which technically is a different city, but if they could make that a destination where people from all over the world wanted to come to, then I think it could, you know, or. You know, Orlando doesn't have a beach, but they got Mickey Mouse, right? It's they got all of the theme parks, they got all of the things. It is a mecca from every. That's what we lack is the destination point. You know, it's not. Oh man, I'm gonna go spend a week vacation in Jacksonville. What are you gonna do? Absolutely nothing.
We have no idea.
You know,
right?
where are you gonna go? I don't know. You know, and it's different. You know, so you make a destination. You make a destination where people actually want to go and do something there, then you see it change.
Yeah, and I agree with Will. We definitely do need an attraction. I read in an article, and I definitely need to fact check this, but I read in several articles that that Walt Disney, before he settled in Orlando, he actually came to Jacksonville, and he was actually denied in Jacksonville, so he went to Orlando. And obviously, we know Jacksonville used to be Calford. But the reason why I think Jacksonville is going to be an emerging city is just because the amount of young people that are here, that if the city I'm not saying give it to young people. I'm not saying that. But man, with young people and with youth, there's so many innovative ideas, and we're living in a day and age of streamers, entrepreneurs, people who just they don't want to be 21 and be working for a boss that they don't care about. Like like that era is over. So you have all these people that are young now. They're making money early because of YouTube and social media, and they have money to invest and to do cool things. I mean, if you look at Miami, man, a lot of those people were just edgier earlier. They did things different. The nightlife is completely different. Some is insane. I walked down Miami Beach once, and I was like, I went to one place. I said, yeah, let me backtrack out of here. You know what I'm saying? It was anyway. Maybe we do DeVore Live Uncut or something. That'd be anyway. No, that's actually a bad idea.
No, we ain't going to the resort, bro. Like, we ain't going over here to the resort.
No, but I think when there's a thriving young population anywhere, I think it can become an emergent city, depending on the people who we choose to stay in the city, that we can see make a change, to see how we're going to develop our young people to become entrepreneurs of tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And so I think with all that, I think for sure. And I also think entertainment and our nightlife, if we don't have the prettiest beach like Clearwater or Miami Beach, if we don't have the parks and stuff like that like Orlando, we need something that's going to stand alone. It's like, man, I went to Jacksonville and I saw this. Maybe it's music, maybe it's entertainment. I don't know, but we'll see. It ain't the Jazz right now, so
yeah. I'm trying to get my thoughts together to say this. I heard this. Actually, it was a take that Carmelo Anthony just had on Cooper Flag. They asked him like, what's your take on Cooper Flag's potential? And it was, Cooper Flag doesn't do anything great, but he does a lot of stuff really good. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Jacksonville will have anything great. Like, we're never going to have Hollywood like LA. We're not going to have South Beach. We're not going to have, the theater and the arts like New York City and the financial and all that. But if Jacksonville was really good in a lot of areas, I think that's what could make it a top 10 city, because we have so much. Like, I'm from Maryland, and we used to go to Baltimore all the time. And Jacksonville always reminded me of the potential that downtown Baltimore has. You got the sports teams, you got the river. Downtown Baltimore is so lively. Yeah. So lively. No, I'm like, this is what Jacksonville, and it's better. Yeah. Plus, we have a beach that's only 30 minutes away.
Boats. I mean, yeah, for sure.
So if we can do a lot of things really good, I think we could definitely get there. And I know a lot of cities develop around the arts where, there's no major draw downtown. I mean, we do have, like, the crazy thing is I say that, but then I'm going to kind of correct myself. They bring in like big names all the time. We have a lot of venues downtown that bring in like the top artists in the world. Mm-hmm. They're always coming here and everything. We're one of 30 cities that have an NFL team. Now our NFL team, could be better. They're definitely making moves to get there. Mm-hmm. But if the when you mentioned Disney potentially was going to come to Jacksonville, I can believe that, because it's almost like the same thing with Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Hollywood originally started in Jacksonville, and then they kicked them out because they didn't want the movies and they just didn't want that lifestyle, right? So the stunting of where Jacksonville could have been has been repressed. Yeah. Is that the right word, repressed? For like decades, like 40, 50 years. So now that the changing is happening, we're just now getting the development done that these billions of dollars are getting poured in. So, but that gives us the opportunity to build infrastructure that's newer, that can stand the test of time, versus if they would have already been doing this development 30, 40 years ago. Yeah. So that's why I think we can actually become a great city pretty quick. We got an international airport. They're opening up more airlines to a lot of the major cities. Isn't Delta making it
their hub, one of their hubs?
I don't know. I haven't heard that. Fact check that. We got a lot of fact checking to do.
Here's the good news, though, because it does say that 60% of people in Jacksonville are single. So that's good news for you.
100%. Hey, that's great.
Hey, man,
that's good.
Numbers work in your favor, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
But your age group, too.
Seeking land on the East Coast theme park in Florida, Walt Disney initially reached out to Jacksonville's Ed Ball. After being told by Ball that I don't deal with carnival folk, Disney eventually found 27,000 acres in Central Florida, opening Walt Disney World in 1971.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the bad move on Shark Tank, the bad deal that you didn't do on Shark Tank.
Like, think about what Jacksonville would be.
Yeah. What? Well, probably most of us wouldn't be here, obviously.
Yeah.
Who knows what would have happened. But it still has all that potential. It's not like anything has changed, like geography wise of Jacksonville. It's just it didn't get those opportunities. It could have had Disney. It could have had Hollywood. It could have had a whole lot of other stuff, but it didn't. But I think now that a lot of the good old boy network is they're gone, and now things are opening up. So that's why I believe in the future. And I've been here almost 10 years. And I was excited about it 10 years ago, unlike Wes, so I'm glad you've kind of turned the corner a little bit. But it's just exciting being in Jacksonville right now with everything that's going to happen as the years unfold.
So,
Well, you're a lifer here, man. So what do you think of all this?
I would love to see it be a destination, right? Is we travel, I go to Orlando to see what they have. We just went to Fort Lauderdale to get on a cruise ship. So it's like we have like bits and pieces. Like you said, we got bits and pieces of things that are good. But like I'm not going to take a cruise out of Jacksonville because they're small. It's a different thing, right? So you can do all of the same things that you can do everywhere else, just on a lower scale, right? So if we could, I think I mentioned this here before. We're moving the fairgrounds from. I say we. I'm not involved in that, but the fairgrounds are being moved from downtown off on the other side of the west side, right? Which is good. I think it's going to give it more space. It's going to be able to do that. Years and years ago, when Cecil Field closed down as an operating Navy base, the rumors and the thought was that Six Flags was going to come in, purchase the bulk of that property and put in a park, and then it never happened, right? So we could have a very long list of things that people wanted to come, they wanted to invest into the area, and it just didn't happen, So I think there is a shift where that the old guard is gone, and that adverse to growth and adverse to change is it's out of the window. So I think the next time something major wants to happen here, it will happen. And I don't know, but I think that's what we need. We need an attraction.
It would be nice. The only thing that comes with that is traffic. Like we become that next big, attraction city. It's already big enough that you go anywhere in town, it takes you 30 minutes. Right, so
I wish it took me an hour.
Or you go, it's got to take you an hour. But yeah, you go anywhere remotely far away, and it takes you forever to get there. You start piling full another, tons of people here. Is where this now a top 10 city to come to, attractions, all this kind of stuff. There's a lot that also comes with that. Just throwing that out there, but I'm just saying, I'd rather be good at a lot of things, and then it's still, if people move here and figure out it's good, it's great. But it never really gets the claim that everybody should move here, because then it just becomes another city with takes you an hour just to get across town.
But the thing is, man, if it's alive, it'll drive. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, everyone hates LA traffic. It's definitely probably when everyone talks about it.
It's the worst.
But everyone goes to LA. Even when I went to LA, I knew traffic was gonna be crazy. But there was this taco stand that everyone told me to go to. I mean, 3 miles took us about 40 minutes, man. But when I got those tacos, you know what I mean. So if it's good enough, I think people will wait in line. If it's good enough, I think people will sit in traffic. If it's good enough, I think people will move here and invest in here. If we become what we need to be, for sure.
Yeah, we're excited. Well, if you got $1 billion and you're looking to come to Jacksonville, hit up DeVore Capital.
For sure.
We're a construction real estate development company. We'll help you spend that money to make the city very prosperous for a long time to come.
We got a minute to add one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Non-scripted article.
Do it.
I got the alert.
Okay.
Newsweek pushed out. So apparently President Trump has offered Canada another opportunity to become the 51st state.
Oh wow! Okay,
let's go.
Have y'all heard of the Golden Dome, the missile defense system that's been talked about a lot in the last week or so? So Canada can pay $61 billion to be protected by the dome, or they can become the 51st state and be protected for free. So that's the option. And of course,
Trump is a beast.
so according to President Trump, the Canadians are considering it. So I'm not
Okay.
sure which option they're considering, but that's he really wants Canada.
Yeah.
I think Canada wants us. They're just playing games.
Yeah, I
That'd be
mean,
one big state.
we're two sovereign countries, but we're almost one and the same, you know,
Sure.
just being North Americans, you know,
Yeah.
technically. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where that goes. I'd like for it to happen.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing.
That'll be something for us to keep our eyes on next month when the G7 summit starts, because I think they'll be talking about that quite a bit. Because of course our enemies don't want us to have a golden dome,
Of course not.
you know, and so our allies that are really close, like Canada, they want us to have one, and they want.
Well, that's why you tune in live to DeVore Live. You get the breaking news from Will Reed himself. DeVore Live is brought to you by DeVore Media. It's sponsored by DeVore Capital, your leading construction real estate development company headquartered in downtown Jacksonville. You can see the St. Johns River behind us. For Wes Deason, Efton, Will Reed, Efton Tooth Famin. I guess your whole name. I'm Scott DeVore. Till next time, peace and love. God bless.